Successful people whose parents disowned them. What happened when they discovered your wealth? When I was 18, my parents kicked me out for choosing art school over the family business. My dad owned 3 car dealerships, and I was supposed to take over someday. That's all he ever talked about. The day my acceptance letter to Parsons came, I showed it to them thinking they'd be proud. Instead, my dad ripped it up right in front of me. "No son of mine is wasting his life drawing pictures," he said, not even looking me in the eye. My mom just sat there, hands folded, silent like always. When I said I was going anyway, Dad threw my duffel bag at me and told me if I walked out that door, I wasn't welcome back. I had about $2,700 saved from summer jobs, which I thought would last forever. It didn't. The first year was brutal. I lived in a closet-sized room with 2 other guys, worked nights at a 24-hour diner, and barely slept. Sometimes I'd call home just to hear my mom's voice, but she'd whisper that Dad was watching and hang up. After a while, I stopped trying. By my 3rd year, I'd started selling designs online. Nothing fancy, just logos and basic website stuff. But it let me eat something besides ramen. So that was a win. I graduated with honors, but there was nobody in the audience for me. I told myself I didn't care. 5 years after being disowned, my little side hustle had grown into a design agency with 15 employees and clients in 3 countries. I bought my first apartment in Brooklyn, had a nice car, designer clothes, all the things my dad would have measured success by. But he didn't know because I'd stopped existing to them years ago. Then last year, my younger sister Emma found me through Instagram. She was in college now and had secretly kept tabs on me. We met for coffee, both of us nervous wrecks. She showed me pictures of our parents, both looking older than I remembered. "They saw your company featured in Business Insider," she said. "Dad went completely white when he realized it was you." Apparently, my agency had been profiled for our work with a major tech company. The article mentioned our revenue, 7 figures now, and had photos of me in our sleek Manhattan office. Dad had been carrying the magazine clipping in his wallet. Emma said they wanted to reconnect. 3 days later, I got a text from a number I'd deleted, but still knew by heart. My father asked if we could meet, just like that, after 7 years of silence. No apology, no acknowledgement of what he'd done. Just wanted to catch up now that I was successful. I agreed to meet them at a restaurant near my office. When I walked in, my mom burst into tears. Dad stood up, hand extended like we were business associates. I didn't take it. "We're so proud of what you've accomplished," he said, as if he'd been cheering me on the whole time. Then came the real reason for the reunion. Their dealerships were struggling. Online car sales had crushed his business model, and they needed capital to modernize the family business. When I asked how much, the number made me laugh. $850,000. Almost exactly what my first year of art school had cost, the education they refused to support. "We're family," my dad said. Like that explained everything. Family helps family. I looked at him, at my mom, who still wouldn't speak up, and realized I felt nothing. The pain was gone, but so was any connection. "I'm sorry," I said, standing up, "but you made it very clear I'm not family." My dad's face changed then, from friendly to familiar, that cold look I remembered from the night he threw me out. "You ungrateful little," he started, but I cut him off. "I built everything I have while you were pretending I didn't exist. The only reason you're sitting here is because I have something you want now." I left some cash for my untouched meal and walked out. My phone blew up with texts, first angry, then pleading. They even showed up at my office the next day, causing a scene until security removed them. What they didn't know was that I'd already set up a college fund for Emma. She shouldn't have to choose between family and dreams like I did. Sometimes I wonder if I made the right choice. Not about the money, they weren't entitled to that, but about closing the door for good. Then I remember all the birthdays, holidays, and achievements they missed. Not because they couldn't be there, but because they chose not to be. Emma called me the night after I kicked our parents out of my office building. She was crying. "Dad's furious," she said between sobs. "He's saying horrible things about you." I wasn't surprised. That was always his way. When he didn't get what he wanted, everyone else became the villain in his story. The next morning, my assistant buzzed to say my mother was in the lobby. Just my mother. No dad. She looked smaller somehow, clutching her purse. "Your father doesn't know I'm here," she said, still standing. "He wouldn't approve." "What do you want, Mom?" I asked, trying to keep my voice neutral. She fumbled with her purse and pulled out a small box. Inside was my grandfather's watch. He'd been an artist too, a fact my father had conveniently omitted from family history. "Your father wanted to sell it," she said quietly, "but I hid it." "Why didn't you ever call me back?" I asked. "All those times I reached out." Her eyes filled with tears. "I was afraid, not just of your father, but of hearing how much you were struggling, knowing it was partly my fault for not standing up for you. The money isn't just for the dealerships," she confessed. "Your father has made some bad investments. We're going to lose the house." I felt a flicker of pity, but pushed it aside. How many nights had I slept on friends' couches or in the back room of the diner? Where was their concern then? 2 days later, I received formal paperwork from my father's lawyer requesting a family business investment, a 10% stake in a failing business for nearly $1 million. Attached was a handwritten note. "Blood is thicker than water. Don't forget where you came from." I had my own lawyer respond with a simple message. "I remember exactly where I came from. That's why my answer is no." What followed was a campaign. My father started calling my clients, telling them stories about how I'd abandoned my family. He even contacted my employees. The final straw came when he showed up at my apartment building drunk, yelling in the lobby. The doorman called the police, and I ended up getting a restraining order. 3 months passed with no contact. I threw myself into work and helped Emma quietly transfer to NYU. She moved into my guest room, becoming the only family I needed. Then one evening, I found out through his secretary, Marion, that my father had suffered a minor stroke 2 weeks earlier. The dealerships were being sold, their house was on the market, and my parents were downsizing to a small condo. I sent flowers to the hospital and set up a trust fund to help with my parents' medical expenses. Not a gift to them directly, but an account they could access for healthcare only. I wasn't ready to forgive, but I couldn't just do nothing. A week later, Emma brought home a handwritten letter from my father. I was wrong, not just about your art, but about what makes a man successful. It took me losing everything to see that you built something real, something better than I managed in twice the time. No request for money, no excuses, just an acknowledgement. I drove out to their new condo the following Sunday. My father was sitting in a recliner, looking frail. When he saw me, he struggled to stand. "Don't," I said. "I'm not staying long." We talked awkwardly at first, then he cleared his throat. "I've had a lot of time to think about what kind of legacy I'm leaving. Not the business, that's gone, but what my children will remember about me. I was raised believing a man's worth was in his work, in providing. Art wasn't work to me, but you proved me wrong in every way possible." He gestured around the modest condo. "I followed all the rules, did everything right, and ended up here. You followed your passion and built an empire. I'm not here to ask for money. I just wanted you to know I see you now, and I was wrong to stand in your way." As I was leaving, he handed me a small, worn, leather-bound book, my grandfather's sketchbook. "There's more of him in you than there is of me," my father said. Maybe that's not such a bad thing after all. I didn't forgive him that day. Real forgiveness takes time. But over the next year, we established a cautious relationship with monthly dinners and occasional phone calls. My agency now has a scholarship program for art students whose families don't support their dreams. Each check is signed personally by my dad. People ask if I've forgiven my parents. The truth is complicated. I've accepted that they did the best they could with the limited understanding they had. And I've come to believe that family isn't just about blood or obligation. It's a choice we make every day to show up, to try again, and to see each other for who we really are. The greatest wealth I've found isn't in my bank account. It's in breaking the cycle and creating space for everyone to follow their own path without fear of rejection.